Most people think artificial intelligence is a bolt of lightning inside a glass box. They imagine a sorcerer's spell, a ghost waking up, a brain in a jar. It's complete and utter nonsense. The truth is far less dramatic, but frankly, far more marvelous. You see, modern AI isn't magic at all. It's just a terribly sophisticated guessing game played at lightning speed. Today, we're going to dismantle the 5 biggest myths about how this technology actually works. We'll start from the absolute worst, most bafflingly confused ideas and climb our way down the ladder to the one solitary truth that actually powers the entire revolution. Prepare to have your mind put at ease. Sitting dead last at number 5 is the most ghastly misconception of the lot. It's the persistent delusion that AI is a magical brain hiding inside a computer. I shan't mince words here. This is dreadfully misleading. AI doesn't think, it doesn't feel, and it most certainly isn't sitting in the dark, contemplating the universe. It possesses no awareness whatsoever. When you type a question into a chatbot, it isn't pondering your query like some ancient philosopher. It's simply running a piece of software, exactly like your email app or your calculator. People get terribly spooked by the idea of consciousness. They watch a machine write a flawless poem and assume a soul must be lurking inside the circuits. But the machine only seems alive because humans are brilliantly imaginative creatures who see faces in the clouds. We project understanding onto the machine. The software is doing nothing more than processing electrical signals through silicon chips. There's no ghost in this machine. There's no mind waiting to wake up. I dare say it's just metal and mathematics following strict instructions. Banish the thought of the magical brain from your head entirely, and you've taken the first vital step toward true understanding. Sliding down to number 4 on our countdown of confusions, we find another stubborn myth. This one trips up almost everyone, including fellows who really should know better. People imagine AI as a colossal digital filing cabinet. They think when you ask a machine a question, it rummages through a massive database, finds the exact pre-written answer, and copies it out for you. How perfectly absurd. If that were true, a system like ChatGPT would just be the world's most expensive search engine. It isn't. It doesn't store documents at all. Instead, the system captures patterns. Let's say you read 1,000 romance novels. You wouldn't memorize every single sentence to understand the genre. You'd simply absorb the rhythm. You'd realize the brooding duke usually scowls on page 12. The stubborn heroine usually drops her teacup on page 30, and they inevitably embrace by page 200. Modern language models do exactly this, just on a massive scale. They don't hoard your old emails or Wikipedia articles. They compress all that human writing down into mathematical probabilities. They learn the statistical shape of language without keeping the original text. It's a marvel of data compression, not a sprawling library. You're talking to a set of fluid probabilities, not a dusty filing cabinet. This brings us rather neatly to number 3. We're getting warmer now, but this is still a terribly common mix-up that leads to no end of trouble. People firmly believe AI acts like a traditional computer program. You know the sort. You press a button, a rigid rule applies, and a guaranteed result pops out. If you press equals on a calculator, 2 plus 2 always equals 4. It always will. The machine follows a fixed, unbreakable path from start to finish. But artificial intelligence doesn't behave like this at all, and treating it like a calculator will only end in tears. Modern AI works on probabilities, not certainties. When it generates a word, it's making a highly educated guess about what should come next. Let's say you give it the sentence, "The cat sat on the." A traditional program would need a strict, hard-coded rule to tell it. The next word is mat. But a modern language model looks at the probability. It calculates that mats is the most likely word, given millions of examples it has studied before. However, it might also assign a smaller probability to rugs or sofa or even moon. It doesn't know for sure. It's just rolling a set of heavily weighted dice. That's why these systems can be brilliantly creative, but also factually wrong. They aren't computing a single correct answer. They're generating a plausible sequence of guesses based on the patterns they've absorbed. Descending further down our ladder, we arrive at number 2. This is the point where the technology starts to make genuine sense. The myth here is that AI simply reads the internet once and magically becomes intelligent overnight. But the machine doesn't learn by merely glancing at the data. The real secret isn't the reading. The real secret is a frightfully grueling process called training. Imagine a young student at university. If they merely skim the textbook, they'll fail the exam. They have to study, test themselves, figure out where they went wrong, and try again. Artificial intelligence does exactly the same thing, just millions of times faster than any human student. This training process is the absolute core of the entire operation. We take a blank model and give it half a sentence. We ask it to guess the next word. If it guesses bananas when the correct answer was apple, we mathematically nudge it. We apply a tiny adjustment to its internal settings so that next time it's slightly more likely to guess apples in that exact context. This loop happens billions of times over several months. It's an exhausting cycle of guessing, checking, and nudging the numbers. We call this nudging gradient descent. You can think of it as a blindfolded hiker trying to find the lowest valley. They feel the slope with their feet, take a step downward, and repeat until they reach the bottom. The machine keeps adjusting its mathematical dials until its guesses consistently match reality. It's hard, physical, costly labor done by giant computers in massive data centers. That's where the magic actually happens. Which brings us, at long last, to the bottom of our ladder. We've discarded the magic, we've swept away the filing cabinets, and we've pushed aside the rigid calculators. Here's the number one, indisputable truth about how artificial intelligence actually works. It's all just giant mathematics and pattern recognition playing out on an industrial scale. You're looking at a vast web of artificial neurons loosely inspired by the biological wiring of a human brain. We call this an artificial neural network. But don't let the biological metaphor fool you. There's nothing alive in there. Each artificial neuron is simply a tiny mathematical equation. It takes a number in, multiplies it by a weight, and passes the result along to the next neuron. When you string billions of these equations together, you get a system that can recognize a cat in a photograph. It doesn't know what a cat feels like. It just knows that a certain combination of pixel colors arranged in a specific shape statistically matches the pattern labeled cat in its training data. The system uses something called a transformer, which is just a clever mechanism for keeping track of context. It lets the machine know that the word banks next to river means something completely different than banks next to money. When you strip away the marketing hype, the system is doing one thing brilliantly. It's finding correlations in mountains of data. It's matching patterns so complex that no human brain could ever spot them unaided. It spots the pattern of a fluent sentence, the pattern of a human face, or the pattern of a winning chess move. It doesn't understand the meaning behind any of it. It just calculates the patterns with breathtaking speed and accuracy. That's the entire trick from top to bottom. There's no sorcery, only statistics, and lots of them. I do hope that clears the air. The machine isn't out to get you, and it certainly isn't hiding a soul. It's just a tool built by humans to process information at a scale we previously couldn't imagine. When you look at a piece of artificial intelligence tomorrow, don't see a magical box. See the billions of tiny mathematical adjustments, all working together to guess the right answer. Tell me this, my dear viewer. What is the very first task you plan to hand over to these giant mathematical guessing machines now that the mystery is gone? Do drop your thoughts in the comments below. I always read as many as I can manage. If this little lesson helped you see past the fog, do give the video a thumbs up to help it reach more curious minds. Pass the link along to a friend who's been losing sleep over the rise of the machines. And naturally, do subscribe to the channel so you never miss another beautifully clear explanation from the wild.